Picture this. Two people on opposite coasts, the glow of a phone screen lighting up a quiet bedroom, yet the room feels less empty than it did yesterday. If you came searching for long-distance relationship tips, you're in the right place. We're going to make the space between you feel smaller, not by magic, but by simple choices done consistently. Welcome to a conversation that holds your hand through the miles, from the community you found here at Whispered Hearts, English. Let's start with a real moment you might recognize. One of you is walking out of a late shift. The other is waiting at a bus stop where the summer air is thick and warm. The call connects, and suddenly the day is softer, like setting a heavy bag down on a porch you know by heart. Love in the distance often begins with that tiny exhale. Research shows the couples who last aren't necessarily the luckiest. They are the most intentional. They craft time the way a baker measures flour, carefully, not roughly, and with a repeatable rhythm. That rhythm becomes a comfort your nervous system can count on. But there's something even quieter holding love together. Ritualized time is your anchor when the week starts to pull you into different currents. Maybe it's a standing video breakfast on Sundays, or a 10-minute voice note exchange during your lunch breaks. The point is not the length. It's the predictability that reassures your body that closeness is coming. When your mind knows that connection is scheduled, it stops bracing for scarcity. Here's a place to breathe and also to be honest. You can't schedule chemistry, but you can design the conditions where it shows up more reliably. Consistency won't make your heart race in a movie montage way, yet it will build trust in ways fireworks never do. Have you noticed how your week shifts when the call is a given instead of a question? Before we move on, consider a small upgrade that many couples overlook. Create micro-rituals inside that scheduled time, so each call has a familiar opening and closing. Start with a 3 wins from today, and end with a 1-line promise for tomorrow. It's simple, and it teaches your nervous systems the shape of connection and goodbye. But the most overlooked connection isn't a call at all. It's the shared life you build in between the calls. Longing grows when the only thing you do together is talk about missing each other. Instead, make space for virtual shared experiences that keep your story moving forward. Watch a series in sync, cook the same recipe on FaceTime, or build a 2-player playlist you add to throughout the week. You can also host tiny online date nights that feel real and playful. Pick a theme like street tacos and laugh tracks, or mystery documentary and mint tea, and bring a small prop to the screen. As you eat, talk about something besides the distance so your brains associate each other with joy, not just yearning. What would your next at-home date look like if you planned it like a friend's birthday? There's a reason these moments work. Experiences knit the same memory fabric across different zip codes. When you both recall the lemon zest you grated or the twist at the end of an episode, your minds are holding the same thread. That shared thread is how you keep staying connected from afar from becoming an abstract idea. And now, let's name the fear that can quietly grow when life gets busy. Silence, a missed call, a goodnight text that never arrives. When your stomach drops, it's not immaturity, it's biology reacting to uncertainty. If you've ever felt that cold rush, you're normal, and there's a kinder way to handle it. Before we shift, here's a gentle promise to hold. This channel, Whispered Hearts, English, exists so you never feel alone with your questions about love. You are part of a wider table where people are practicing the same courage you are. Belonging isn't a slogan here. It's the relief that comes when others speak the same language of care. Let's talk about repair, because every relationship needs a blueprint for getting back to each other. Imagine a winter Tuesday, the air outside crisp enough to sting your cheeks, and the time zones have been brutal. One of you fell asleep, the other stared at the ceiling, hurt sprouting like frost. When you come back together, repair starts with safety, not debate. A safe repair sounds like this. I want us to feel secure here. I missed the call, and I see how that landed for you. I care, and I'm changing one thing to keep this from repeating. Then you make the change visible. A backup alarm, a 5-second running late text, a calendar block that can't be double booked. What small, specific action would help you both feel steady after a bump? Over time, these small repairs become part of your trust in long distance. They teach your bodies that conflict doesn't mean collapse, and that love can withstand imperfect days. Therapists report that couples who repair early and often carry less resentment, and more warmth shows up without being forced. Repair is less about being right and more about being reachable. But closeness isn't only about solving problems. It's also about painting a future big enough to hold you both. That doesn't mean setting a wedding date if you're not there yet. It means you sketch where you might live, what your mornings might smell like, and the rhythms you'd like to share when the distance ends. Future planning for stability turns someday into a map with gentle coordinates. Create a loose timeline that includes the next visit, an estimate for the visit after that, and a check-in about long-term goals every few months. If you're a military or traveling family, you can still build steady touchpoints, even as assignments change. The point is to make the future less foggy, because clarity is one of the most romantic gifts you can give. What's one milestone you could name together this week? When the future is sketched, the present relaxes. The countdown to your next reunion becomes manageable, like glancing at a calendar and seeing a circle around a date in blue pen. Your days are still full, but your heart isn't wandering around looking for the exit sign. It knows where it's headed, and that knowledge is oxygen. And now for something softer, but surprisingly powerful. Rituals of intimacy are the private language you carry through the miles. They're small, unmarketable habits no one else needs to get. A nickname. A certain way you press your palm to the camera for a goodnight hand kiss. A playlist you only play when you cook together on Fridays. These rituals are how you maintain emotional closeness from afar when the world is loud. On a spring afternoon, when the rain smells like wet sidewalks and earth, you might both brew the same coffee blend and sit for 10 minutes, saying nothing. The routine becomes a meeting place your bodies recognize. Have you noticed which tiny habit already feels like us? Expand these rituals into more fully embodied experiences when you can. Mail a postcard instead of a text so your partner can feel the texture of your words. Send a short video of your neighborhood's autumn leaves skittering down a quiet street so their brain can hear the sound of your life. Love is not just heard, it is sensed, but connection needs the right pace to thrive. Some couples try to fill every spare minute with conversation, and slowly the calls become chores. Others barely talk and feel like roommates in different cities. Find your middle. Decide which formats match your day. Quick text threads for commutes, voice notes when your hands are busy, and long calls when you can be fully present. Create a communication check-in once a month where you quietly ask, is our way of talking still working? You're not grading, you're tuning. You might swap one late-night call for a morning walk and talk, or trade a long weeknight chat for a weekend brunch call when your brain isn't fried. Which small tweak would make next week's connection feel lighter? As you fine-tune the pace, build small feedback loops so you're not guessing. If one of you is more verbal and the other needs a beat to process, agree on signals. "Can I think and text you in an hour?" becomes a bridge, not a wall. These tiny agreements keep your romantic connection online from fraying under pressure. But closeness also grows when your individual lives are alive. It sounds counterintuitive, yet independence feeds attraction. When you fill your days with friendships, workouts, hobbies, and the work that matters to you, you show up to love with stories and energy. You are not asking the relationship to replace a whole life. You are inviting it to enrich one. Think of the evenings when you return from a run through the park, breath fogging in the early fall air, and you send a photo of the sunset over the soccer fields. Or the Saturdays when you volunteer at a local shelter and share a 40-second video of a wobbly puppy you walked. These are not filler updates. They're invitations into your real world. Here's a gentle check to keep that independence nourishing and not distancing. Ask yourselves, does our time apart make our time together feel more vivid? If not, adjust. A slight rebalancing, one less overtime shift, one more hour for a shared hobby can restore warmth. What adjustment would put more color back into your calls? But even vivid love gets tired without rest. Sleep and stress are the overlooked variables that change the tone of your connection. You can't be patient when your system is running on fumes. Choose nights to log off early and guard them. The gift of showing up well-rested is one of the least glamorous, most powerful ways to protect your bond. Layer in playful signals that remind each other you're still teammates. A midweek meme that only the two of you would laugh at. A sticky note held up to the camera that says, "I'm on your side." Small touches like that are relationship lightning bugs, flickering in the dark so you never lose the path. Which tiny signal would make your partner smile tonight? As your weeks take shape, start crafting your reunion days with a little intention. Plan one thing that's simple and one that's memorable. The simple thing might be cooking breakfast in an old t-shirt while the kettle hums. The memorable thing might be a photo shoot on a pier at sunset, summer evening warmth on your shoulders and salt in the air. Keepsakes anchor memory, and when reunions end, expect the post-visit dip and treat it like weather that passes. Schedule a shorter call the day after you say goodbye, not to dissect feelings, but to re-establish rhythm. Send one message that affirms what you loved about being together, and one tiny plan for the next visit. Your hearts learn that endings also come with beginnings. Let's circle back to boundaries, because distance can blur them. Protect your work hours and your sleep while still being reachable. If late-night calls are hurting your health, shift them with care, not guilt. Love thrives where honesty and structure meet. You might experiment with a shared calendar for time zones, travel dates, and key moments. It's not about surveillance. It's about reducing cognitive load. When both of you can see the week, it's easier to aim your efforts where they matter most. How would a shared calendar or simple weekly text summary change your stress levels? As you grow, remember that curiosity has fuel. Ask questions that move beyond logistics into dreams and values. What does home feel like to you? What kind of neighbor do you hope to be? What rhythm would make your mornings peaceful? Curiosity keeps love from flattening into updates. Keep telling the story of why you chose each other. Not just the big dramatic scenes, but the small ones. The way they laugh with their whole shoulders, how they listen when you're stumbling, the careful way they pronouncing your favorite diner's name. Storytelling is how we renew our vows without ceremony. You might be wondering if all of this is enough to beat the miles. It is, but not because it's flashy. It's enough because it's repeatable, because you can do it on Tuesdays when you're tired and on Fridays when you're giddy. Love grows where consistency meets tenderness. And yes, there will be weeks when you miss each other so much it aches. On those days, keep one promise small enough to keep. One note, 1 minute, one smile you send anyway. The ache will pass, and the bond you're tending will have one more ring in its tree. If today's ideas are landing, this is your moment to add your voice. In the comments, share the one practice that keeps your connection alive when miles get loud. What's your number one tip for long-distance love? Your story might be the lantern someone else needs. As we close, hold on to this. You belong here. You're learning in public, and your courage is contagious. Love across miles isn't a waiting room. It's a place where ordinary kindness becomes extraordinary. If you ever forget that, re-listen to this. And remember you've got a home base at Whispered Hearts, English. The miles won't vanish, but they can lose their power to scare you. You have rhythms now. You have rituals, repair, and a map of what's next. And when you need a reminder, return to these long-distance relationship tips and add the ones that are uniquely yours with us at Whispered Hearts, English.